Hello, and welcome back to MoJo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the one and only Powerpuff Girls / JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
This week we are going to be discussing the Powerpuff Girls Season 3 episodes, the Headsuckers, Moxy, and Equal Fights. But before we get into that, just a reminder to hit the like, subscribe, follow, comment, review buttons, etc., depending on where you're listening to this. It would be super helpful if we got more feedback and reviews. It could help push the pod out there to more folks so we can get some more listeners.
And if you would like to hear more of us, we have a second podcast, What We Pod in the Shadows, where we're talking about season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows.
You might enjoy that if you want to hear about some vampires who are quite a bit less evil than Dio.
Yep, it's a fun little comedy about some vampires set in Staten Island. Okay, so these 2 episodes were originally broadcast in the US on January 5th, 2001. And I'm starting with the Headsuckers Moxy. So there was a movie back in 1994 called the Headsucker Proxy. It's kind of hard for me to say Headsuckers Moxy when I know of the Headsucker Proxy.
Yeah.
Okay, Townsville is safe and secure. The bank manager is locking up at night and is followed by a tiny man. The manager begins running and panics a little, and when he stops for a white cat, he is bitten by something with a big mouth and dragged away. The next morning, the bank safe is empty, and a ton of cops are there, and the bank manager is for some reason on a cot. It's like they're in the bank, but it's almost like he's in the hospital at the same time. It's kind of weird. The Powerpuff Girls question him about how the robber could get the combinations when he yells about his head hurting. When he removes his hand from his head, there is a circular mark or wound. So it's kind of like the mark wasn't really there until he's like, ow! And then when he moves his hand away, there's this weird circular mark. Next, we see a guard at a museum set a security code when he is attacked by something with a big mouth. Cue the psycho-like music. His flashlight shines on the security panel and a hand punches in the code, and the lasers protecting the valuables turn off. Next morning, all the valuables are gone, the museum is full of cops, and the girls are questioning the security guard who is wrapped in a blanket. He is similarly confused as the bank manager, and he reveals a circular mark on his head as well. The girls hear a strangled "Arg!" and fly off to investigate. They find a pirate who can only answer in "Args!", who also was apparently robbed, and only he knew the secret location of the booty. When he removes his hand, he also has a circular mark on his head. The girls go home and try to figure out who the robber is and who his next victim might be. They deduce the robber has been sucking secret information from their heads and that a sultan visiting the city might be the next victim. He knows the location of the world's most valuable sapphire. They begin calling the perp the robbing leech. The robbing leech has sucked on the Sultan's head and knows the location of the sapphire, or he knows the location of the sapphire is in the Sultan's belly button. All of this is occurring in front of the mayor. So, I don't know, the sapphire was red, but I know, sometimes it's just the elemental makeup of the thing that is why it's called a certain thing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the color, but I was a little confused why it's red.
I was too.
The mayor gives the girls all the details of the robbery, and as they contemplate who could be next, the mayor panics, thinking it must be him. Blossom agrees, thinking the robbing leech is listening in, wanting to use the mayor as bait. They briefly leave the mayor alone in his office and burst in after they hear a commotion and rudely assert that the leech wouldn't find anything in the mayor's head as he's latched onto the poor mayor's head. He leaps at the girls, and Buttercup swats him into a wall. He jumps around again, and Blossom uses the mayor as a shield. The leech is left drooling on the floor, and the cops take him away. The mayor doesn't understand what happened, and the girls unkindly say his empty-headedness defeated the leech. The narrator seems confused when announcing the day is saved and says that his head hurts. And I think they've caught him already for his. I don't think he could have got the narrator, but maybe it was before the mayor.
Perhaps.
And then the robbing leech is supposed to be after Robin Leach, like a play on that.
Yeah.
And he was the host of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. Kind of like Cribs.
Yeah.
But not MTV personalities. It was rude about the mayor. So it's like the leech was, I don't know, like it almost like you got energy from it too, like sucking out the information.
Yeah.
And then it's like he didn't have any, like he didn't get anything at all from the mayor. No sustenance. But it was rude.
It was rude.
I'm sure he has to know some things.
Yeah.
He might have even went, I know like the guy is trying to get valuables, but like, I don't know, professor perhaps?
Yeah.
Or even like Miss Bellum might have some secrets.
Absolutely.
But I know they were trying to use the mayor as a bait. But it was so rude. Because they don't, what if he like didn't recover?
Yeah.
Because the other guys like, I mean, maybe they might have recovered. We don't know. But they were like kind of messed up afterwards. Because the guy was like sucking their brains out, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. This was kind of a different episode for them. But it was just like, they just kept going from one thing to the next. And the whole thing with like the wound it was leaving, I don't know. It was a little confusing, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't know if, like, I know that the title is an homage to a movie, but I'm like, was the setup also like a parody of something else? And I'm just not getting it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they just used that title, but I don't know if I ever saw that movie. Just knew it was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking with just like some good binoculars. Or just like if you were a little bit of a detective, that you could have maybe got this information without possibly causing people brain damage.
Yeah.
Because they just like typed in the code, you know, like you could have had some binoculars or like the dude was tiny. You could have just like at the museum, just like hid behind something and then paid attention when the guy put the code in.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of weird, like going to the pirate.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, like, they've had, like, a Sultan, someone like that show up in Townsville before. It just seemed a little convoluted or, like, not the normal, maybe the normal person writing this episode. I'm not sure about the writers, but, or, like, it could have been one of those longer episodes and, like, maybe they fleshed it out a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Want me to give you what it's saying the Headsucker proxy is about?
Sure.
So there's a place called Headsucker Industries, and the board of directors or whatever, they come up with a scheme to like make this supposedly naive college graduate the president, so that like the stocks will tank because they think he'll run it into the ground, and then they can buy it back cheaply. But he has like this good idea for a new toy, and I take it the stocks don't tank. I'm not sure that really lines up with the storyline.
Yeah, I think they just liked
the
name. Alright, so I'm going to start talking about wolf fights. Townsville is an ideal city. Professor does the dishes and asks the girls to take out the trash on their way to school. At school, they watch a boy and a girl play ball, but the boy accidentally hits the girl, and she just laughs it off. The hotline rings, and the girls are alerted to a robbery. The narrator assumes that the perpetrator is a hulking man, but is a slender blonde woman declaring herself to be femme fatale. She says she's going to rob the town blind, and there's nothing any of them can do about it. She forces the teller to load up a money bag, but gets pissed when he pulls out $100 bills because a man, Ben Franklin, is on them, and she wants Susan B. Anthony coins. She declares that there's not a man alive who can stop her when the girls burst in. They chase her to an alleyway where she says a man has never been able to stop her, but these little girls have overtaken her so easily. She says it's too bad the city belittles their talents which makes them hesitate. Femme Fatale takes off with her grappling gun and the girls give chase. She dodges them at first, but they catch up to her by using their laser I-beams to destroy part of the building she was jumping to. And Buttercup grabs her by, the top of her shoe. The girls ask her what she meant by belittles, and she says, surely you've noticed female superheroes are less revered than their male counterparts. Bubbles lists off Supergirl and Batgirl as examples, but Femme Fatale says they're merely extensions of their male counterparts. Blossom can only think of Wonder Woman to counter her, and Buttercup says she's right. They are the only female superheroes out there, and drops her. Which, to me, is bogus. There are so many female superheroes who aren't just this dude who already exists. Girl at the end.
Yeah.
Femme Fatale falls into the arms of a construction worker who flirts with her, and she smacks him with her bag of coins. Blossom scolds Buttercup for dropping her, but they catch up with Femme Fatale, who convinces them that superheroics and supervillainy are both male-dominated fields, and they should let her go so there are more female supervillains out there. Because apparently Princess Morbucks and Sedusa don't count because they are currently in jail. The girls set her free, and she robs, I believe, a sports equipment store. And then she throws her Susan B. Anthony coins in the air in triumph. At school, the girls get pissed at Joey Finkelmeyer for accidentally hitting a girl with a ball. They accuse him of knowing exactly what he did, and he and the other boys get nervous and run off, leaving only the little girls at recess. Miss Keene witnesses this and realizes something is up. At home, Professor says he's gotten all the chores done and just needs them to clean their room, but they glare at him and scare him. In their room, Blossom melts the head off of a male doll. The mayor calls and asks them to stop the recent robberies, but Blossom says he should get a big, strong man to handle it and that he shouldn't keep sending women to do his dirty work. The mayor cries and decides to make it up to the women of Townsville by planting flowers and getting them chopped. Miss Bellum is there and is concerned about the incident. Miss Bellum calls the girls and asks for their help, and they jump at the opportunity. At Town Hall, they're blinded by these lights, and Miss Bellum says they need to have a little girl talk, and Miss Keene comes out of the light too. They ask the girls what's wrong, and they say all the men in Townsville have rotten attitudes about women, but their examples are Joey accidentally hitting the girl with the ball, Professor asking them to clean their room, and the mayor always asking for their help. But Bellum and Keene disprove these by getting the girls to admit that the ball was an accident, Professor does all the other chores, and the mayor doesn't have superpowers to kick ass. They say Femme Fatale is the only female supervillain though, and they failed to stop her. They bring in a female cop, bank teller, and a teen girl, and they say Femme Fatale wasn't looking out for them by robbing their bank, breaking the cop's arm, or stealing the teen's haircut. Bellum and Keene say that the girls are right, there's injustice in the world, but they're there to protect everyone. The girls go after Femme Fatale and give her a history lesson about Susan B. Anthony, who was arrested for illegally voting as a woman in the 1800s. They say Susan B. Anthony just wanted equal rights, not special treatment. Femme Fatale seems to not actually know who Susan B. Anthony was. Not that she was a super great feminist icon when she really only wanted to help white women get to vote. They kick her butt and send her to jail where she complains that horizontal stripes make her look fat. The day is saved.
Did you describe what she looks like?
No, I did not.
Kind of had long blonde hair, a white suit, but then she had purple markings and a mask, but it was kind of in the shape of the female symbol.
Yeah, and her gun or grappling gun or whatever was also shaped like that.
I guess this is kind of one of those episodes where the girls are kind of gullible and fall for stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Femme Fatale at one point was asking whether they had a movie.
Yes.
I mean, I guess when you go there, if you probably compare like those bigger projects like that, there probably is more male-centered superhero movies. But there are a lot of female superheroes. They're just not always given TV shows or movies or whatever.
Yeah, because a lot of the people who are in charge of that stuff are such chickens about female superhero movies for some reason. They're like, it won't do well. The boys won't watch it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm kind of like, why don't men want to watch it though? Like a lot of times they're in sexy outfits.
Yeah,
Like,
you want to see a hot woman kick ass.
Yeah, like a hot woman. Yeah, I don't understand.
I feel like I just have like mixed feelings about like how the episode was written, I guess. Because I feel like it's supposed to be like, this is what feminism is not. But I feel like maybe some of the writing like muddled that a little bit, and then people were kind of like thinking that it's like an anti-feminism episode.
Yeah, I mean the stuff like some of the stuff that was thrown in, like the mayor with the candy and flowers, and then her like saying something about the uniform, the prisoner uniform making her look fat.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of used the girls, like, because the girls were going to be, because she said no man could stop her. The girls could stop her, but she kind of tricked them, like, we're both girls, you gotta give me a chance.
Yeah.
But it's not like she was doing kind of like Robin Hood stuff, like where it was like, technically good, even though she's like maybe robbing people, but maybe she was taking from shitty rich people and giving to deserving orphans or something.
Yeah.
She was only doing it for herself.
Yeah.
Or like the one victim, oh, she stole my hairdo. So it did kind of like almost make it flippant, like it was silly. And I know it is like a lot of the stuff they do, like they inject humor, but I don't know. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, just kind of. Yeah, like it made it. I felt like it kind of almost made it seem like with some of the writing choices, like like sexism isn't a big deal.
Yeah, the stuff the girls were kind of like too, like that they pointed out, it wasn't really examples of like the boys and the men being sexist. So maybe if there had actually been some real like professors like, well, I'm not gonna cook and clean, you girls.
Yeah.
Men don't cook and clean.
Yeah, he literally was just like, clean up your space.
Or like the boys at school were like, girls can't play football, or something like that. But that's not really what the examples were.
Yeah.
Like they could have tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad concept for an episode. I just feel like the choices were like kind of off base. Or like, well, I don't know if those were like, well, I mean, they would have had concepts back then, but they wouldn't have had names maybe then. But like, kind of like comparing and contrasting like intersectional feminism versus like feminism that just like helps like straight white women. Or like, they're like, she's on like some turf shit or something. Like, I don't know.
I don't know if they would have gone into that detail on this show.
Yeah.
Kind of like they wanted to touch on it or use it as a theme, but then they didn't really kind of go into it correctly, I guess. Like, they didn't go deep enough to make it kind of work, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I know she was femme fatale and she had like the female symbol on her, but like she just didn't really know what she was talking about herself.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe, I don't know, like, when they got into more like, and they probably wouldn't have maybe done this for like a kid show, but like, kind of like more like performative activism where she's just kind of like, she feels like she should. Maybe that she should get privileges, but then she doesn't really care about it for anyone else. Yeah. I guess the example I can think of is kind of like on Community, like some of the stuff like Britta would do. It's just kind of like half-assing stuff, and she doesn't really like know what she's talking about certain issues. She just wanted the femme fatale, like girl power, kind of for herself,
and to keep herself safe. But I don't know if she, like you said, she didn't really know who Susan B. Anthony was, and or probably know that much about feminism. She just kind of was like touching on surface level stuff and not really the important, like, deeper meaning.
Yeah.
And then the girls are only like in kindergarten, so I don't know. I feel like the girls kind of went to man hating too fast. Like they had that one encounter with Femme Fatale. I think this one, like the other one, maybe could have used one of those longer episodes, and like maybe there was a couple different encounters with her, and like where maybe they looked around and kind of saw some better examples. I mean, even if you just looked at like maybe the mayor and Miss Bellum, where like she's the actual brains and everything, but he's got the whole title of mayor and she's just like the secretary or whatever. Like you could, I don't know that the professor is sexist.
I don't get that vibe from him.
And I mean, maybe some 5 or 6 year olds, if they see some dynamics in the home, might be like, girls suck, but I don't even know like if that would be even showing up there.
Yeah.
In kindergarten. I'm not sure what other dynamic in the show I could really point out.
Probably could use to, like you said, to be a longer episode to like flesh things out more, and maybe it could have been like, I guess, like edited a little more, like, not sure, like, you know, sometimes with cartoons it's like they kind of just do like storyboards and just kind of like go from there, but then sometimes there's like a whole ass like planned script, so I don't know what all goes into that.
She just doesn't really have a good argument for why she shouldn't have been put in jail, because like there's no need for a female villain. If she's like hurting the citizens. Again, like I said, if she'd been doing where she was like stealing, but then she was giving it to less fortunate people, okay. Or even if she was breaking up crimes where it was men harming women, possibly, I could see the Powerpuff Girls not stepping in. But it wasn't even that. She was just stealing money. I think it was just mostly her stealing money, right? For herself?
She just wanted the coins. I do kind of wish, though, that there were more female villains on the show, though. Because it is mostly guys. That's about the only thing, like, she went to, I'm like, yeah, I do kind of wish there was, like, maybe a little bit more women on here. It just kind of, like, requires, like, a more nuanced discussion than what actually went down in this episode. So I think we're gonna end our discussion here. Next time, we are going to talk about the last set of episodes of this season before we move on to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The episodes are called Moral Decay and Meet the Beatles. So you might want to watch those ahead of time so we don't, like, spoil the whole thing for you on the podcast. And just, again, a reminder to follow/subscribe to the pod if you haven't already, and to leave us some feedback. That would be super helpful for us.
And share with your friends if you've got anyone that's interested in either of those shows or you're wanting to get them into those shows. And don't forget about our other podcasts, What We Pod in the Shadows.
So until next time, I'll be the roundabout. Goodbye.
Goodbye.